Is that all there is? Is that all there is? Is that all there is? That existential question that Peggy Lee sang about in 1969 is really a very interesting phrase. It can be both a very disheartening lament and a life-stimulating query. Now, probably everyone has asked that question, is that all there is, at some point in their life. Kids ask it at Christmas time, when the last present has been ripped open and they only have a dozen presents sitting in front of them. Is that all there is? Men and women in the corporate world may ask that once their ideal, long sought-after job has lost its luster in the onslaught of routine tasks. Spouses and partners ask it when that once red-hot relationship that once engulfs all of their emotions and all of their thoughts become normal days of sitting across the table at breakfast time in silence or in doing grocery shopping. We ask that question in frustration. We ask it in disappointment. We ask it when we realize that what we are doing no longer feels right to us. To use psychologist Abraham Maslow's terminology, we ask it when we realize we are not finding self-esteem and actualization in our life. But that same question, is that all there is, can be the impetus for an eye and mind expanding new life journey for us. Now, many of our life journeys are sort of natural progressions, such as moving through youth or young adulthood. But sometimes our life journeys are intentional. They start after we have taken a moment to reflect on our lives and what we have been doing with our lives and what's happening to us or not happening to us. That question can launch new careers, revitalize relationships, or inaugurate new adventures. I've always wanted to go off to Africa and make wooden shoes or something like that. And that question can also start some people on a route that leads them to a new religious home or to a journey on a new spiritual path. The start of a religious journey actually may be one of the most profound experiences in a person's life because it is based on our beliefs and our spiritual yearnings, our deep spiritual yearnings. Our beliefs impact all aspects of our lives. They impact our understanding of ourselves. Where did I come from? Who am I? What is my place in the universe? Our beliefs impact our relationship with others. Why and on what basis are all lives equal? And what is my responsibility to and for others? And our beliefs impact the world around us. In what specific ways should I care about the world and the environment? And how can I balance environmental needs with my personal needs or finances? And we all know that our spiritual well-being has been shown to affect our physical well-being, our social well-being, and our psychological well-being. Consequently, finding the right religious home or following what is right for us in a spiritual path through which we can hone and practice our beliefs is vitally important for our lives. Now, unlike other life journeys or life changes, such as career moves or relationship changes, what's interesting is we often don't realize when we're embarking on a religious or spiritual journey. Often that, is that all there is question is just a twinge or a gnawing at the back of our mind or at the edge of our hearts. It can be a little discomfort or dissonance or low-level anxiety or frustration or a sense that something is out of alignment with our values or beliefs or the sense that something is lacking in our current religious practice or life in general. And then, that voice still and small, that voice inside us all, can take on a quality of actually hearing a voice in some way. It questions and cajoles. It makes gentle pleas, and if we ignore it for long enough, probably strident demands. This is how my desire to return to church came about. I did not get a voice from on high that says, "Bill, go to church." I had come to have a feeling that I had I'll call it a hole in my soul, and nothing that I was doing was filling that hole. Over time, I came to realize that voice, still and small, was resurrecting long-forgotten interests and loves and was actually directing me back to church. And that began the journey that has ultimately brought me to this pulpit. When we come to realize that we need something new for our lives, or we need to renew a connection that has been lost, or perhaps we never had, or that we need some sort of knowledge that we cannot acquire from books or lectures or just conversations, we can finally then start a search for fulfillment that is mentally and emotionally connected or needed by us. And when we do that, we become companions with Walt Whitman. Afoot and lighthearted, I take to the open road. Healthy, free, the world before me, the long brown path before me. I travel the open road. People often travel that open road to come to a church or other religious setting for different reasons. And the question I would ask you to consider this morning, and in the coming weeks, when you think about your religious journey, what brought you to Unitarian Universalism, and what does that mean for you today, and for your response to what Channing Church does do or can do for you and for the larger world. People come into a new religious home or begin a spiritual practice with the mindset of leaving, of coming home, or of setting out. We leave a religious institution to find a new religious home or spiritual path when we come to realize where we were is no longer tolerable, and we need some place in which our spirit will be nurtured, our spirit can sing, our spirit can be free. We come to the realization that our personal theology is not in alignment with that of the faith tradition that we are living in. Or we determine that the faith tradition was not living up to its ideals or was in fact harming people. Or we find out that in some direct way, the religious tradition of which we were a part did not welcome us. We leave that tradition, but still want to be involved in a religious community, so we go looking. For us here, our travel on the open road brought us to a Unitarian Universalist congregation. as a place to get away from bad or uncomfortable or outgrown religious practices. I know there are people in this sanctuary who have told me that they felt stifled in their prior religious community, and Unitarian Universalism helped them get out of a religious practice or theological issues that were no longer relevant to them, or in fact were hurting them. We are so glad that you are here. Some of us seek a congregation with a slightly different mindset. We are looking to find a home. We are seeking a religious home with the longing to have a foundation, to have roots, to have intimacy, to care for care and for nurture. We are yearning for a community with familiar faces. And when we find a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we somehow almost automatically feel at home. We feel we have come home. I've been told by people in this congregation that when they walk through those doors, they have felt welcome for who they are, and they wish that they had discovered Unitarian Universalism many years ago. And we are so very happy that you are here with us. And some people come searching for a place that will allow them to launch their spiritual journey in a new way. They may have been Catholic or Jewish or Baptist or Presbyterian or none. They were not angry at a past religious tradition, but they wanted something more that they could get within the confines of the doctrines and the creeds and the rituals and the people of their former religious setting. Or they've perceived that there is a barrenness in their secular lives. Coming to a place for a jump off on a new spiritual path requires courage and strength. It requires an inquiring mind and a willingness to learn and a willingness to be vulnerable. I know there are people here who have used Unitarian Universalism and Channing Church as a foundation and a touch point for setting out to explore different expressions of spirituality, such as Buddhism or Wicca. And they have told me that they are happy that they can hold multiple spiritual expressions and not feel that they have to leave a religious home to explore something else. And we are so happy that these setting outers are here with us. Now, there's no bad way to come to a new religious place. All are right because a person's religious journey started out from where they were. For a person to stay true to themselves, they must start a life or a religious journey from the emotional and spiritual place that they are at, and not blindly accept the teachings or demands of another. The journey must start, and you have found this yourselves. The journey must start when you are ready and go where your heart leads you. And your heart must ring true, and your spirit must rejoice. So a few moments ago, I asked us to go down memory lane and to think about the spiritual journey that brought us to Unitarian Universalism and ultimately to Channing Church. I asked this on this Sunday when we are kicking off the stewardship campaign to support the ministries and programs of Channing, because I think every so often it does us good to recall the mindset that we had coming to Unitarian Universalism and to Channing, and to reflect on how that journey, that seeking a new religion to get away from a prior tradition, or seeking that new religion to find a home, or seeking that religion, a new religion, to find a place to launch our minds and our hearts on a new spiritual path, how has that affected our time here and perhaps continue to affect us? How do we do church? How do we want church done is a good question that comes out of that. Are new ideas encouraged or resisted because of our original mindset? Have we grown spiritually from where we were when we came to Unitarian Universalism by the ministries and programs of this church? And do we want more? Have we found new ways to express our religious yearnings that have taken us places different from where we were when we set out, however many years or days ago that it was when we made the decision to seek a new religious home? The purpose of a religion and of a church or a synagogue or a mosque or a temple is to help people move along the path of their spiritual journey. Channing Church is here to do that. It is here to support our religious and spiritual journey wherever it is taking us. And I hope that we can all return that favor with our support of time, talent, and treasure.